Yeah, 3.6, Chester County Learning Center, 1635 Lincoln Highway. In the parking lot for well-being check. We have a student on the line saying the principal and teacher are experiencing emotional distress and they're not following his IEP.
CP to all units on the perimeter. Stand by for message. CP to all units on the perimeter. Subject is in custody. Confirmed. Subject is in custody.
Yep. Into 1 Sam on your status.
Okay. Sam 42, did you monitor that last transmission from the perimeter?
Negative. I don't have access to the ERT channel.
You said the subject is in custody.
Yes.
3-4 is your number.
3428345 Yeah, it's 3.6. The caller advice has been going on for 2 or 3 days, saying that staff is aware as he's calling and they're following him. Principal and the teacher are outside with him. No weapons, no intoxication. 3428345
Repeat and confirm. Right. Subject is in custody. Confirming he is in custody.
Into 1 Sam on your status.
Yes. Okay.
Into 1 Sam on the Unit 1549. You check in to see for the park point.
1549, okay.
Chester County, all cars and stations. The radio room, Chester County government, and the various other agencies working on the prisoner escape are proud to announce the subject is in custody. Repeating, subject is in custody. Authority of the radio room, time 08:18 hours.
60 days. You might have. Go ahead. Hey, can you do a verbal face-to-face with your school and tell them? I'll do the same for St. Elizabeth. Adam, one has Pickering Valley. And then I'll go over to Beth Israel. Got it. 91 David 15 in service.
Yeah, 91 David 15, copy. Okay.
Ninety-one on one in service.
Yes, accept quality.
Well, so they got him. Copy that, George.
Follow the control of ending mileage.
Yeah, 43, Paul 30.
Okay.
Chester County, go ahead. Is she able to start the wheelchair and triage?
She could sit in the chair about there.
Go with ending.
122687. 122687. Alley's clear side.
Yeah, 43, Paul 30.
Okay.
Chester County, go ahead. Is she able to start the wheelchair and triage?
She could sit in the chair about there. Okay. 65-year-old female coming from home. Fell from standing and complaining of left ankle pain. She's alert and oriented. 605.
Are you considering mainstream main route?
Yeah, 43, Paul 40, okay. Subject is a key fan, no weapons, no intoxication.
Is she able to start the wheelchair and triage?
She could sit in the chair about there.
You can close the Sally Port door.
84, okay.
610, can you clear from that radical beyond the traffic stop, please?
That's 10, Paul 80, okay.
Northbound Wilmington, taking off Skiles.
Copy that, George.
Follow the control of ending mileage.
Go with ending.
122687. 122687. Alley's clear side.
Yeah, 43, Paul 30.
Unit 40, Paul 30.
In 40 sector, I have a report of a domestic. Number 19, Fairway Road, 19 Fairway. Okay.
Okay.
Chester County, go ahead.
65-year-old female coming from home. Fell from standing and complaining of left ankle pain. She's alert and oriented. 605.
Are you considering mainstream main route?
Yeah, 43, Paul 40, okay. Subject is a key fan, no weapons, no intoxication.
Is she able to start the wheelchair and triage?
She could sit in the chair about there.
You can close the Sally Port door.
84, okay.
610, can you clear from that radical beyond the traffic stop, please?
That's 10, Paul 80, okay.
Northbound Wilmington, taking off Skiles. That's Texas. Michael Zulu Hotel, 2311. It's a gray Yukon.
Yeah, 43, Paul 40, no answer on the callback.
610, all right.
Okay.
610, all right.
0 plus 10, 10 8.
10-4.
84, okay.
6-10 Palladium, can you clear from that Reddick? We'll be on the traffic stop, please.
Yeah, 6-10 Palladium, okay?
Northbound Wilmington, taking off Skiles. Yes, Texas. Michael Zulu Hotel, 2311. It's a gray Yukon.
Yeah, 6-10 Palladium, okay? Yeah, 4-3, Paul 40, no answer on the callback. Okay.
6-10 Palladium, alright.
That's okay. Yeah, 4-3, Paul 30, okay?
Yeah, I'm clear. I had to go.
Yeah, 4-3, Paul 30, okay? Yeah, 3-3, Paul 6, stop your stop, 800 block of Country Lane, correction, Country Road.
I'm okay.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm clear. I had to go.
Yeah, 4-3, Paul 30, okay? Yeah, 3-3, Paul 6, stop your stop, 800 block of Country Lane, correction, Country Road.
Yeah, 4430 says okay.
Yeah, 4-3, Paul 30, okay? Unit 5-5, Paul 1, okay, your response. Lancaster Avenue and South Waterloo Road, Lancaster Ave, South Waterloo. They're requesting stop times be put out for at least 45 minutes per bill at signal service.
Yeah, 610, okay. Yeah, 3942.
Yeah, 67 Tom 87, copy your stop, 1000 Blocker Wood Lane.
Yeah, 47, Paul 4.
Yeah, 610, okay. Yeah, 3942. 42, when somebody's available, holding under mental disorder. It's for St. Martha Villa, 490 Manor Avenue. It's for an 83-year-old female who's trying to kick and break windows and assaulted one of the other residents there.
Alright, you can send it to me.
Yeah, 67 Tom 87, copy your stop, 1000 Blocker Wood Lane.
Yeah, 47, Paul 4. Okay. One seven, David 25. 2 minutes, probably gonna be shut down for a little bit. At least I got a lot of vehicles that need to come out. 12. Okay. 91, 2 TG fact, sent you a message.
39 units, just be advised I'm holding a key complaint when somebody's available. Yeah, 3942, okay.
$15, okay. 2 minutes, probably gonna be shut down for a little bit. At least I got a lot of vehicles that need to come out. 12. Okay. 91, 2 TG fact, sent you a message.
39 units, just be advised I'm holding a key complaint when somebody's available. Yeah, 3942, okay.
1549 yours.
Yeah, 3942, okay. It's going to be the Carlson unit, first floor, room 52. There's no weapons, no intoxication. Subject's not being cooperative with staff.
Okay. Last unit calling, say again? 17, David 25.
67 Tommy, 7 much faster.
Tom 87, okay. In 3315.
15, okay. 2 minutes, probably gonna be shut down for a little bit. At least I got a lot of vehicles that need to come out. 12. Okay. 91, 2 TG fact, sent you a message.
39 units, just be advised I'm holding a key complaint when somebody's available. Yeah, 3942, okay.
1549 yours.
1590 and 420, okay.
15.
Yeah, 33 pole 15. Northbound Route 100, north of Cherie Boulevard. Northbound Route 100, north of Cherie Boulevard. Hit a turnpike
At Amazon.
property damage accident. It's going to be single vehicle versus a deer. Not blocking. You'll be looking for a black Dodge Ram 1500. Also revising the deer is deceased in the roadway and it's leaking antifreeze.
15, okay.
Yeah, 33 Paul 15, just so you're aware, there's no fire department on this right now. Your pleasure. You want to hold off until you're on scene?
You can hold off.
Too bad, it's probably gonna be shut down for a little bit. At least I got a lot of vehicles that need to come out. 12.
Okay.
91 2 TG Fact sent you a message.
3-9 units, just be advised I'm holding that. You can play when somebody's available. Yeah, 3 Apple 2, okay. 15.90 units.
15.90 and 20, okay.
678 for Raul.
Yeah, 15 David 60, okay in the rear. Call taker was advising they could hear noise in the background, sound like people talking. They disconnected on us, voicemail and call back. Let's see if we can get a rapid SOS.
20 copy.
15.90 and 20, okay.
678 for Raul.
Yeah, 15 David 60, okay in the rear. Call taker was advising they could hear noise in the background, sound like people talking. They disconnected on us, voicemail and call back. Let's see if we can get a rapid SOS.
5 what up? The area.
15 Sam 1, okay.
15.90, we sure of the house number?
I wonder if we can tell.
Yeah, 15 David
So now it
unit.
looks like they're taking off his
Last going.
pants.
They're at least going to cut his
David
pants
60, I'm in the
off.
rear of that house.
And so why don't we, you want to take a break? I don't think we need to see
Yeah,
that.
15 David 60, okay in the
Or
rear.
we could zoom out. I wonder if
Call
we can
taker
tell
was
Sky
advising
Fox
they
to
could
zoom
hear
out, because I'd
noise
love
in the
to see
background,
what
sound
the
like people
scene is
talking. They
around
disconnected
this.
on us,
So I'm
voicemail and call
sure
back. Let's see if we
there's
can get a
quite a
rapid
heavy
SOS.
presence of all the folks who had to come together to
5
make this
what up?
happen.
The area.
Yeah, 15 Sam 1, okay.
Let me see if I could.
15.90, we sure of the house number?
Okay, we zoomed out
Yeah,
a little bit.
15.90,
We see the
418
state
Grand
police, and
Street,
yeah, it looks like it might be
418
the
Grand
National
Street.
Guard.
Call
That's what it
taker was
looks like to me,
advising that
but
there
I
was
don't have
noise in the
confirmation of
background.
that.
The
Obviously,
juvenile
it's
caller
not just,
stated that
you know,
no one was home with her.
constables and
They disconnected on us.
police officers
We
in
attempted to
different
call back,
jurisdictions.
voicemail.
And I wonder,
Looks
you
like
know, at
there's
this
a
point
school
now,
right across
while
the
we're
street.
watching this too, there's been all
15
kinds
units
of,
also,
for
no
the
incident
perimeter being
history
set
for the
up,
phone number or
cones
the address.
that have been going through. Folks have had to stop as they go in and out of the
15
perimeter.
CM1.
All that now is going
We
to be
don't have a
packed up and put
418
away
Grand.
as we zoom out so we can see more
Yeah,
of the
4741,
situation.
it's in an
Yeah,
hour.
it looks like you see there's some John Deere tractors and things. I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure out where
15
they
Sam 1,
found
okay.
him, because this is the area not too far
What's that for?
from where they originally picked him up, where Sky Fox was showing, where they were wiping his face and putting him into handcuffs.
I'm not sure that initial information about being on the main street of Phoenixville is accurate. He was seen, so maybe the most recent sighting of him was on Bridge Street, because obviously this is not Bridge Street in Phoenixville. But again, that's why I can't wait for this 9:30 news conference to give this
Unit
details
55,
on how
CM2.
this all went down in the last
Yeah,
30 minutes
15
or
David
so.
unit. Last going.
And of course, that's going to be
David,
held
I'm in the rear of
in
that
Kennett
house.
Square at the fire company, where the last updates have been given to us for the past few days.
Yeah, 15
That's
David
where they've
60,
been
okay in
held.
the rear.
Leanna,
Call taker was advising
can
they could hear
Skyfox tell you
noise in the
what road
background,
that
sound
is?
like people talking.
Are we
They
in
disconnected on us,
communication with them?
voicemail and call back.
Okay.
Let's see if we can get a rapid SOS.
What?
5
2
what up?
weeks.
The
My
area.
goodness.
Yeah, 15 Sam 1,
It
okay.
certainly has been.
It's good to get the kids back in school.
15.90, we sure of the house number?
It might be too late for it today, but
Yeah,
I'm sure
1590,
it's going to start
418
tomorrow.
Grand Street, 418 Grand Street. Call taker was advising that there was noise in the background. The juvenile
Phoenixville.
caller stated that no one was home with her. They
So we're working to
disconnected
get
on us.
details on where
We
exactly
attempted
they're
to
going
call
to be
back,
taking
voicemail.
him.
Looks like there's a school right across the street.
Leanna, put that in the prompt, will you?
15 units
I
also,
didn't
no
quite
incident history
understand
for the
you.
phone number or the address.
And let's also remember
15
what led us
CM1.
to this moment. He
We don't
is
have
a
a
convicted
418
killer.
Grand.
He is someone who
Yeah, 4741,
murdered
it's in
his
an hour.
girlfriend by
Like,
stabbing her more than 30 times
Yeah,
in front of
15
her
CM1, okay.
children. And
What's
and
that
it was
for?
all because he believed she was going to
And
tell
your
that
stuff.
he killed someone else
Exactly.
in his
What's this,
native
12:30?
country of Brazil.
It'd be a
That's
less
who
station
we've
for
been dealing with
emotional
for the
Yeah.
past
funeral
14
20.
days. He's been out in the
He
loop.
walked into
Yeah,
her
what's this,
yard.
12:30?
She's
Okay.
standing there with her kids.
1-5
She,
units, your
you know,
status.
apparently walked up to her and says, I'm
No,
going to do
we're good.
something really bad.
Oh,
And killed her.
1549, you okay?
Now, some of our
25,
viewers saying that
3 to
that is
command.
at a place called Prisers on
One
Route
five Sam 10. We're
100.
canvassing the area, looking for that
And they
address.
believe it's U.S. Marshals.
And none of the numerics match
I'm
on the
sorry,
block
what
we're
kind
on.
of dealership is it?
John Deere dealership. So you
Okay.
see those green
Yeah,
tractors, all
1-5
those
Sam
are,
10,
you know,
okay,
John Deere equipment
canvassing the area.
and things. And so
You
it
want to
looks like
continue with
they're at
that,
the
sir?
John Deere dealership on Route 100, which is within the perimeter that they've been closing in on for the past couple of days.
Prisers, P-R-I.
Prisoners Lawn Care.
Yeah, Prisers Lawn Care. And that people also think that these are U.S. Marshals. And we did know that the U.S. Marshals were involved in the search. Also, some people say they're CERT officers. Tori, do you know what that is?
No, but
S-E-R-T?
I think that's SWAT, State Police SWAT. Marshals, we have marshals going.
Yeah, marshals.
True.
Not police on the back.
On their backs.
Well, one thing we know, there's several different agencies that have come together to work as one to make sure and get this happening. And I wonder, since they're now that we've learned that they're at Prisers right now, many businesses had to close because of this manhunt, and they had to shut things down. So I wonder if it was even open, or if this was another shut down business because of this manhunt, like so many others had to do, because we've done stories about folks saying they're losing money because they're not able to operate over the past 14
In fact,
days.
we talked to somebody that owns a bakery and said people weren't coming in for donuts because they were afraid to get out of their cars or even get close to this perimeter.
No, 1-3. 25 Sam 3.
Looks like they're going to take him to something called SCI.
Senator, you can clear
It
my
really is called SCI Phoenix and not Phoenixville.
We'll be
Okay.
right back.
SCI Phoenix Prison. Probably closest.
55 Sam 3,
And then
okay.
also
Strong.
we were showing, when
You
we
want
were
five
looking
Sam
at
10?
Hank's camera
Keep going.
not too long ago, before our reporter Hank, before we went to show this scene, that a number of cars are already pulling out because
1-5
so
Sam
many
10 copy.
agencies were involved in this, and so many officers were in different, coming from different jurisdictions. Now they need to go back, to their main posts and where they are now that this manhunt has come to an end.
That's one of the best parts of the story. They all can go back to their jurisdictions.
CP to
and
all
protect
units
their
on the perimeter. Stand by for
local
message.
communities.
CP to
SCI
all
Phoenix
units
is
on the
in
perimeter.
Collegeville.
Oh, in Collegeville?
Subject is in custody. Confirmed. Subject is in custody.
Yeah, we used to call that prison Greaterford for years and years.
Into 1 Sam on your status.
1-5
Not sure
Sam 10
who
copy.
this man in the white
40
shirt
clear.
is, but he certainly has some importance because he walked right up to the vehicle, the armored vehicle. So he's going to Greaterford. Mm-hmm.
But what a moment. I mean, after covering this story pretty much nonstop, and after they've been looking for Danelo Cavalcante nonstop for 14 days, to see it unfold live on television here, and to see them take him into custody, this is something. And I'm sure so many residents, as they're tweeting us and we're hearing from you guys, they are relieved, because I can't imagine knowing that someone could be in your backyard, or knowing that you don't know when he would show up or if he would pop up where you were. To have a little sigh of relief to know that now he's back in custody.
I know my niece lives up around Collegeville. She's been concerned.
6-7 Robert 11.
Understandably.
It would never leave your mind
57 Robert 11.
if you were living in that area. With
Can
your
you
doors
clear me
locked,
from
you
the
know, where
current
he
call?
might be lurking around your
57
property.
Robert 11, okay.
Especially when he picked up the .22 rifle. That really took this whole thing up a notch. Because then you think, okay, he could hold somebody hostage, you could commandeer somebody's vehicle and drive out of the area, with a gun to your back.
And it's so interesting because the photo that we're showing is when he was wearing that bright green sweatshirt. And then to see now, when he was first picked up, before they cut it off of him, that he was in a dark gray Eagles sweatshirt. He was able to find some more clothing.
He looks pretty
continue out.
exhausted. 2 weeks on the run.
And yes, it did look like, from the top of his head, Sky Fox was showing that it was bloody, or something was going on at the top of his head there. But they have now closed the doors for this armored vehicle, and it looks like now he's going to begin his journey to SCI Phoenix.
Secure back floor.
All right. So this all kind of went down when we had to go to a commercial break, but we do have the footage that we recorded.
should we wait till at least, let's just see them
Yeah, we'll
drive
wait
off
for
at
this
least so
to
we can see
drive
them on their
off.
way.
Sure,
And
we'll
then
find
we'll
Sam.
go
Thank you,
back to
Paul.
where this started just a few moments ago when they first found him.
I'm kind of surprised they wouldn't make a first stop before they go to Greaterford, but that's the word we're getting. They're going to go straight to what we used to call Greaterford Prison, but now it's called SCI Phoenix.
Well, after what they've been through and what's happened, I'm sure they want to take him straight there to make sure there aren't any more issues.
And as you know, it is a maximum security prison. Many of our most famous prisoners over the years have ended up there.
And that was in the beginning. That was the question that many folks had. Well, how was he able to escape? Why was he in where he was? And that's because he was just convicted, and they were going to move him.
Yeah, they
in
didn't want to
sentence.
move him. And he knew he was going to get moved, so he had to make his move out of there, which he kind of apparently learned how to do from a prisoner back in May. Remember, another prisoner did the exact same thing. But a guy in the tower, a guard in the tower, saw that person, and they jumped him and caught him within 5 minutes. Well, this wasn't 5 minutes. This was 2 full weeks.
And so what we're going to do while we're waiting for this vehicle, this armored vehicle carrying Danelo Cavalcante to drive off, I'm told we're able to put it in a smaller screen where we can see, for those of you who are just tuning in, the first moments when he was captured. We were there. Sky Fox was there showing all of the police as they gathered around him.
See all the wood?
And they're wiping his face.
And cords of wood wiping his face, possibly of blood. Who knows what the takedown was like.
And then there we go, and there's the vehicle that's taking off. And so we're learning now as we take a look in the juxtaposition here, when they first captured him, when they first caught him, and they put his hands behind his back to now he's being taken away to SCI Phoenix. We've learned that he was found inside of a shed there at Prisoners. That's where they found him, and he did have that stolen rifle with him.
Well, you better believe he had that rifle with him. I think that he probably thought that was his best chance, the fact that he got that. So, I've never been to Prisoners, but they sell John Deere tractors, is that right?
That's quite apparent.
They sell cords of wood, and he was hiding out in a shed for who knows how long.
Which is what law enforcement have been saying. That's why they've been telling people, if you have a shed, if you have a garage, make sure it's locked, make sure there's no way for folks to enter. He's looking for a place to hide. And when you think about the weather that we've had too, we've had rainstorms, and so maybe he was trying to, get out of the way of that, find some type of cover or lodging in the meantime.
It was pouring up in that area the last couple of days.
And we've also been dealing with very heavy fog. And we've also dealt with that over the past couple of days.
So how did this all happen? I guess maybe one of these marshals, or what'd you say, Tori, you think it is?
SWAT, the state police.
State police, SWAT. It could be. We'll get all those details at 9:30. Did they go up to the shed, whip it open, and there it was? Or did somebody spot him and alert these officers? So again, the big box is tape, but not that long ago. The little box, Sky Fox is following this armored vehicle with Cavalcante in it, headed to SCI Phoenix.
And we're also learning that a reverse 911 call was sent to residents in the area of the perimeter. And, quote, what it said was, "This is a message from Pennsylvania State Police. The search for Danelo Cavalcante is over. The subject is now in custody." So the word has been spreading. The reverse phone calls have been made. It's over.
So again, what town is the prison? Is it? Yeah,
Collegeville.
it is Collegeville, isn't it? So, well, that's not very far at all. This trip will take a short amount of time.
And remember, and the reason why, as things really heated up over the past couple days, state police, they said during a press conference, they said, we consider him desperate, we consider him dangerous, and they said that they felt he was desperate enough to use that weapon.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting in about 40 minutes from now when we hear from state police how it happened. How did they get him out of that shed without incident? What went on?
So now we're hearing that this is Berks County SWAT was
Station
involved.
33. In area 533 Brandon
State
Road.
police,
In
obviously,
Maryhill
all
Road and
state
South
police
Riddell
vehicles.
Road. When he was
Border
captured,
Patrol
Transformer Box 33.
mixed in there, and some U.S. Marshals.
And 2544.
Alex, you said over and over, all hands on deck. It got up over 500 people looking for one guy. But they had a tall task, extremely wooded out there.
And we've seen a variety of tactics that were used, and even Renter, at one point, one of the canines
Yeah,
had to be taken to
2504.
the veterinary hospital.
2125 Beaver Hill Road.
Overheating. So
2125
extreme
Beaver Hill
heat
Road. For the residential
to,
fire alarm,
thunderstorms,
that's
to
the fire department now
fog,
too.
to
They're
wooded
advising
areas. I
upstairs.
mean, they had it all that they
Yeah.
had to deal with. And the fact that he was familiar with the area. He
29
went back to an
Sam 1.
area where he was familiar with, and I'm sure
Two nine
also that
Sam 1, go
adds
ahead.
to it.
And that's not so unusual. People, a lot of times, will go back to,
Because you want to know where to be able to go.
that's right. And you know people. He talked to a coworker. He was talking to his sister. They'll have to
Station
investigate how
61,
much help he got from
2125 Beaver Hill
anybody,
Road. See
including
Remington Drive and
his
South Beaver Hill
sister.
Road, Lexington Township.
Because
Automatic fire alarm.
His
I believe his sister was
6104.
is a housekeeper.
Yeah,
And so
2971,
she
sir.
knows the lay of the land. A lot
29
of the
Sam 1.
houses
Can
around
you
that
clear
area.
me from
Now,
this
we don't
incident
know.
and log
She
me
actually
off?
said, "Oh, I've seen
Yeah,
rifles in
2971,
that
sir.
house. You got to go there." But they'll sort all that out, obviously. And this another aspect of this is everybody talked openly about how armed they were. People were carrying guns on their hips. This could have been so much worse if people, they were saying, "I hope he comes to my place. I'll take care of this."
And I think it came to a point after so many days, folks were like, we want to help. This is going on. Our lives have been disrupted, and we want to do what we can to get this guy back in custody. And so, yeah, we've seen a number of people who were strapping up and who were riding around trying to see and trying to figure out what's going on.
See you, Vale.
Do we have bombs? Yes or no?
Okay. What about two reporters?
Do we have reporters to go to?
Yep. Nothing? Okay.
And it's been interesting, also, the different press conferences that we've seen, because this has become a national and international story, considering the fact that he's from Brazil originally, Cavalcante. But as the search went on, and because so many resources had to be used, this has become a national story. And the questions that have been asked about, one, how was he able to escape? Because he's in the first to escape from that Chester County prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also...
Well, the second six...
In 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
And in a similar fashion. And then also the discussions were, what all resources were being used to find him and trying to get more people, because they'd set up a perimeter, and then we found out he was, more than 25 miles, outside of that perimeter somewhere else. And so it's been quite an interesting journey. I'm sure so much has been learned. So even though we're going to have this press conference in about 30 minutes to learn about how he was captured, I'm sure there's still going to be so many more about how did this happen, how many resources were used, all the tax dollars that had to be spent to have all these folks on deck, and what can be done to prevent this, what can be done next time. But it really was a collaborative effort that so many people had to come together, whether it comes staging areas like fire stations, to schools being shut down, and to be points for law enforcement to get together so they can figure out what's going on, to homeowners opening up their land and so they can come on and have search lights.
This guy got kind of lucky a couple of times too. When he was down along Wind Gardens, goes onto the property of the dairy farm, and just happens to find an unlocked keys in the ignition van. That's how he got to Phoenixville.
And they were warned. Folks were told, please lock your doors, lock your cars, lock your sheds.
Growing up in Kansas, my uncles had a big farm.
My uncle, so
they never took
Ram
the keys out of
1500
any of
heavy
their
front end
equipment,
damage.
but I know.
Sure,
Not
they'll be
everybody
here in a minute.
got the memo on that one.
Yes,
So what's he do? He gets in and drives 25 miles to 30 miles up to where he knew, Phoenixville. And he never really got far away from Phoenixville, it looks like.
And there were questions. I mean, folks, of course, were asking, what do you think his goal is? Where do you think he's trying to get to? And we do know that state police said they had an idea, but of course they weren't going to share that with the media or publicly because they didn't want him to know that they were onto him. But they did feel that he had some sort of plan that he was trying to do.
I think his plan was just surviving.
Well, we do know that his sister had a U-Haul, and then she was trying to get to him to help, and then she ended up being, taken away. So that took that away. And he did try to reach out to past coworkers, and that's where we got those most recent shots of him where he's clean shaven. And thank goodness we did, because he looked so different than what he did when he first escaped. So he looked like he had help.
So what was the plan? Go to Canada? Try to get to Mexico? Get out of the United States somehow?
Now that he's in custody, maybe we'll get those details in the coming days.
It's a heck of an escape, though. Scaling up that wall. which I think he learned from the guy that tried it in
Station
May.
87 ambulance 108 Lori Circle.
So they'll be asking us,
North
why didn't
Woodford
you
Road,
cap that
Eastland
little
Township, Lithium
wall area so it wouldn't happen again?
Yeah, 33 Paul 15.
Again, the small box is live. The big box is when this all went down. When we get this word, it was during Anthony's segments, so that would have been about 8:15. That's when we got first word of this. It doesn't look like. Does this armored vehicle have an escort?
2125 Beaver Hill Road.
Looks like it.
In Remington Drive in
Yeah,
South
okay,
Beaver
there
Hill
you go.
Road. West Hampton
And of
Township,
course, we want to
automatic
remind
fire alarm,
folks that
61.
this is a breaking news situation, so
Yeah,
we're getting
33 Paul 15.
information as it comes.
33
We are
Sam 3, what do you
watching this with you as it unfolds.
Yeah,
So the
33
moment
Sam 3.
that
108 Lori
everyone
Circle,
realized that he had been
108 Lori
captured
Circle.
till
Ambulance being
now, and
dispatched for the illicit
all
assist.
the official information and
Also,
all the
can you
specific
call in
details,
when you're
because
available?
I'm getting some tweets from
Okay.
folks. That will happen at 9:30, and
33
we will
Paul
also
2.
have that live
People
here
service
on
travel.
Fox 29, where you can watch and we can
Engine
all
61 with
learn
one.
together specifically
Also, okay.
what happened and how they were
Engine
able
61 attack.
to capture him.
Upstairs, smoke check.
So they did get him in the area they were looking,
Within the perimeter.
basically, Route
All right.
100 where
You had no contact with anybody on
never got
location?
very far from that. People mentioning Collegeville, that's where the prison is, where they're headed.
Negative. We got it from the alarm company. Says they made 2 calls. Left a voicemail.
All right. Add
It
a
looks like
second
Sky
to
Fox is breaking
aerial,
up now.
preferably. If not, 62's engine.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
And so now we're going back to, once again, the
Not
video
yet.
of when he was first captured, when they were wiping off his face.
Mm-hmm. Now that I remember, it's Skipback, isn't it? Specifically, Skipback Township is where that prison is, where a lot of famous prisoners. Was Al Capone in there?
Yep,
At
Eric
one point.
Freen.
Yeah, Eric Freen is housed there.
So we're going to be hearing from Bob Kelly soon, and we're going to talk
You know
more
what? It's 12:30.
It's interesting.
about this in the perimeter and where exactly this is in the perimeter.
People are now
30.
on Twitter, or X, whatever you call it, admitting that Jennifer, I know she watches the show, says, yeah, U.S. Marshals came to my house. They swept our property in Glenmore. That happened on Monday. They told us they would get him, and now they have.
You want this
A lot of
12:30 winter,
people
sir?
are watching the show say they want to thank
The 39 Southside Avenue.
law enforcement for
Mail caller versus
taking all
Zach.
this time and effort
Custody issue. Verbal only. Okay.
to get this done.
And it certainly has been a lot of time and effort over the past 14 days, a lot of resources. I mean, helicopters, drones, thermal imaging, you name it, it's all been used.
And more than one state. I remember they were using
471 Greenwood
helicopters.
Road. 471 Greenwood
State
Road.
police helicopters
Fire department's being
in
dispatched for
Delaware
wires
and in
and
Maryland. They would
the
take shifts. They would
Probably
take
did not see any planes.
shifts covering
Copy
the,
that. Can you
the
dupe it into the
perimeter
call from
with
this
their
morning,
helicopters.
please? And
Well,
kind of
Karen,
make
it's
it
Sunday
show me
morning,
out
huh?
of
It's
school.
9 o'clock.
Well, I think so many
Seeing
people have been
62
watching it.
Park.
Yes, it is. Good morning to everybody.
Chief,
But what a
62.
sigh of relief for everybody in
62
Chester
Park,
County, the larger area. I have friends and family that have been watching from, it's a national story around this country talking about this. My mom's usually like close to 80 lives out there in Chester County, and it's
Oh,
a
boy.
relief. You
Yeah,
don't want
it
to
is.
have that, and there we get to see it as it
Because
happens.
you never know where he might end up, and he ended up in a shed.
Well, because you're trying to hide out, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
places to hide out, and they
5-2
come around in
unit
the
at
backs of
Front Street
properties.
Elementary
You got a lot
School.
of woods, you got a lot of trees, and that's what made it so difficult for 13 days in order to get him. But they did. They vowed that they would, and they were doing such great
Yeah.
work, pressing him day and night, rain, fog, night vision goggles
Yeah,
from
I'm
above
in
and
the area.
below.
You can send to me.
Dogs.
Okay, North Island Route
sensors,
41, North 2nd
sensors.
Street.
Hey,
North Island Route 41,
Bob
North
Kelly,
2nd
you know
Street.
Bob Kelly's
For a white
his
dog
whole
ramp.
life, and he's been
Pennsylvania
every
registration.
square
Lulu
inch
Victor
of the Delaware
Tango
Valley.
2811.
Do you
BBT
know this area
2811.
very well, Bob?
Swerving in, trying to pass.
Yeah, there's a couple of breweries that are up there. I think we
They just
talked
passed
about
4th
that
Street.
That's right.
earlier.
Hares Hill
5-2
Brewing
unit
Company,
at French Creek
Stone
Elementary School.
Barn Cellars Winery.
5-2 unit at French Creek for
Pudgy's
the
Steak
lockout kit.
Shop is a great spot right there
What's
at
604?
123. But he was
Rush
captured
Road
right
324,
along
please.
the Pottstown
I'll give
Pike,
you an update
right
here in a
off
couple
of
minutes, so just hang out.
Prizers Road. So the
Close the road
Pottstown
up
Pike
there.
is Route 100.
You want 640?
And I'm just trying to find Prizers here because I know it was in here. Which, okay, so
Yeah,
Prizers is pretty much
You want
south
640?
of where we've been
Rush
for the
Road 3's
last
on
2
scene. I
days.
got wires down on the roadway. I'll give you an update.
Pottstown
I'm
Pike
out with
100 and Prizers.
to stand 3. Just be advised,
There's
PSP's got a procession line with
Donuts
the
right up the street there. Stone Barn
escapee coming
Cellars
through
Winery
100.
is right there. So all the spots that
Yeah,
we've
you can
been
pass the PSP.
mentioning
Too fast.
and
To go.
where our reporters have been reporting from. Remember, yesterday Hank was at Ludwig's Corner. That's only a few tenths of a mile away from where they captured him.
Everyone knows Ludwig's
Marcus was
Corner.
That's for sure.
Yeah, Ludwig's Corner is great. I mean, that's a big interest. I just actually, one of the segments on my Kelly Drives tonight is going to be right from that spot. And then where Marcus was yesterday, up there at 123, right by the O&J Roberts High School, again, only a half a mile away. So
I'm assuming you're going right to the pumps.
again, Marcus mentioned it today. Like,
Oh,
as he was driving there, like, is somebody watching him? Was this guy watching him? But look at him being captured in the mud pile. Where did he get the Eagle sweatshirt?
It's the most Philly thing
I'll be out
ever.
at 101
Unless he
clearance.
stole it from a home. We know he's been, going through homes and stealing. Because the last we saw, he was wearing that bright green sweatshirt. So.
Yeah, it's somebody watching me. Oh, wait a minute. That's my sweatshirt. Stealing stuff out of people's
What about
houses.
his boots? I mean, remember he stole the boots. He was reportedly stole the boots off of that one guy's deck. I tell you, but what a relief for the neighbors, for the schools, and for everybody. As I mentioned earlier this morning, the kids are thrilled to death to have off from school again today. However, I talked to some of the bus drivers, and they said, they've lost their pay. They haven't worked in the past 2 days.
Yeah, you're right.
The waitresses, people that worked in the restaurants that have been closed. So many people lost money, lost their pay if they were hourly.
Yeah, 3342.
The Dunkin' Donuts, the 7-Eleven, the Sunoco station, all that. There, nobody.
The silent hold-up alarm comes
all
from
those
Pillar
roads were
4,
blocked. So
trap.
if your business was in a blocked, part of that barricade, then you were out of business. So this is just great news for everybody all around the board. And there goes some other school buses passing. Wonder where they're taking him. Do we have an idea where they are taking him now?
Yeah, it looks like they're going to what we used to call Graterford Prison. It's now called SCI Phoenix. That's pretty close to Collegeville, right?
Yeah, that looks like Route 100 where they're going, either that or 202.
So too. I mean, it wouldn't take that long to get there, would it? It seems like they're closing in on the prison.
I just think also, you brought up a really good point, Bob, Kelly, just about with the O&J Roberts schools closed for these last couple of days. That's 5,000 kids, because it would be so hard to have your child, you can't have a kindergartner out there at the bus stop with a guy, a killer on the loose of women. And so to finally have the schools, the safety and security of knowing that your kids can, be outside, have recess, you're not concerned about this guy creeping up in your backyard, which is really what happens. It can be very rural. There's neighborhoods, and there's business districts, as you know, like you're on your 100s, your 23s, your 29s, your big roads out there. But you certainly have a lot of areas which are just heavily wooded, and you can have some property, 3-4 acres, and you never know when he's coming on up. And it's, and a lot of people and the neighbors, as we've seen, would leave their houses unlocked because you're not typically used to having to do
still
that.
on the perimeter.
And
You
so
can
this
break
really
down
changed
it
a lot of behaviors during this time.
Any Chester County units on the perimeter, you
And
can break
Karen,
down and clear. Thank you for your assistance.
You have kids just like I have Austin. The biggest question was,
Right, 33, okay.
did they catch him yet? This
Brandon
morning,
Moore and
they said,
Barry,
did they
no.
catch him yet? How far away is he from our house? Just trying to comfort the kids. He wasn't thrilled that he had to go to school because he knew some other kids were off from school, but just to assure him that he was nowhere near us. But that's been on the minds of everybody, every adult, every child, and
also, I'm assuming you got the info from PSP, and I don't know if we have a power outage in the area.
And
It's
some of
7
the EPA on
schools.
the utility
Yeah, with
schools.
7 schools, it's
Yeah.
about 5,000 students. So
Right,
that's all
33,
those
okay.
families, and the parents had to stay home from work because
Yeah.
you can't have the kids play in the backyards. It can't be like,
Nope.
kids
Did
go out and
he go
play.
there,
Gotta
or
be
he
locked
didn't?
in.
Right, because then you're worried about, like, the whole
Sound
point was
like-
I don't want you outside
Yeah.
with this guy unattended and unobserved.
Back to normal, hopefully tomorrow morning. So one person who's watching the show says they're on a farm and close to Glenmore. She said, we've been locked in our homes basically for about a week now since he moved up to that area. And now we can all breathe
I have a
in
pool,
peace again.
PP&L pool at
It is a
543,
big
which is
relief.
They
one
were saying
pool
cutting the
to the
clothing
west
off as we're
of the
watching
pool
right
that
there
is
that
down
he
on the
was wearing to
road.
make sure he doesn't have anything able to
Right, 37.
strangle himself,
15 up there.
to prevent dangers from him creating harm to himself, because they would like him to be in custody and serve
Engine
the
61
consequences
Chester.
of those actions.
And also, the Chester County Commissioners, they have released a statement out, and they're saying that the capture of Cavalcante ends the nightmare of the past 2 weeks. We thank every single law enforcement official at the regional, state, and federal level that was out in all weather conditions, all day and night, as well as everyone in the Incident Command Center, our County Department of Emergency Services, and County Sheriff's Office for their immense efforts. And that's true. This has been an all day and night, and we have seen different weather conditions over the past 14 days. And so it has been quite a time. And so I'm sure that's going to be a big part of the press conference that's, minutes from now. It's going to be at 9:30, where they talk about all the resources and all the things that were put in to make this happen and to capture Cavalcante.
Yeah, 9375.
Unit 936.
Unit 9374. CP calling Unit 93 Sam 4. CP calling Unit 93 Sam 5. 93 Sam 5. Unit 93 Sam 5, you still need to be good for relief, correct? That's correct. My relief is en route. Copy that. 3242 to come in. Got a gray Chevy Silverado pickup coming north on 100 from Flowing Springs. We've been checked. CP to all units on the perimeter. Stand by for message. CP to all units on the perimeter. Subject is in custody. Confirmed subject is in custody. Repeat and confirm. Per command, you are authority to make contact and clear that residence. 1333 Prizer. I ran them through Tesco views. You have a James and Linda Rassenfeld. I found a Google phone number which is attached to either. Try knocking on the door. I can try calling the phone number, but that's a number we haven't been able to confirm it. Like I said, homeowners listed on Tesco views are James and Linda. Copy that.
Been giving updates to the fire station for the past couple of days. So we do know minutes from now that will be happening, and we will take you there for that presser where we hope to get all the details about those moments. So there's the shot there at the fire station in Kennett Square. where we learn exactly how it happened, where he was captured alive.
That's where it's going to happen, right? At 9:30. That has been the main place where we've been getting our information now for 2 weeks.
Well, Chris O'Connell's certainly been working this story. He's been streaming live.
Day and night.
All over, sharing live, and he's joining us right now, getting some new information on what it's been like to be on this search. Chris, good morning.
Chris, what are you thinking?
I'm glad it's over, guys. I'm
Yep.
sure you are too. It's been 2 full weeks, and it looks like we're going to have confirmation as we've been reporting all day. I heard the news simultaneously from 2 police contacts as I heard on when you guys were getting the news. Made a couple more confirmations, and in fact, they did find Danelo Cavalcante in a shed behind a business which was in the search zone. You know, I was out there for the last couple of days in this area. We've been out there for 2 weeks, and 3332. This was right in the middle of the search zone. This was exactly where they were searching. So they had to think that they knew he was there through the entire time. They were waiting for him to make some sort of mistake. We're waiting to find out the details, how exactly he was found, whether we're hearing some things. But we do know SWAT moved in very fast. We do know the tactical teams were in that very area because we watched them go into that very area. So they were close the entire time. So, but a huge sigh of relief for many neighborhoods now, a couple of sleepless nights for folks up there in northern Chester County. I tell you, all of them, every person I talked to out there yesterday had been armed. So, you know, this was going to end one or two ways. And, you know, we see Danelo Cavalcante walking out of that escape perimeter alive.
Yeah, could have been much different. There are some reports, again, all this information is just coming in fast and furiously, that maybe he was hiding under all that wood that you saw. They must sell cords and cords of wood at Prizers, along with, you know, John Deere tractors and stuff like that. Been in business a long time. So we'll get that all sorted out in about 15 minutes.
I think Hank is making his way there.
Yeah, he's going to be there. Hank is going, to Prizers to maybe talk to the owner of the place. That'll be interesting.
And I wonder if it was open, because they advise so many people to shut their businesses or at least close them, have them locked up, and have them on a certain kind of lockdown. I wonder if it was open at the time, or if it was another one of those businesses that had to close because of being in the perimeter and all the activity that's been going on.
By the way, you see that shot there on the left in the big box? That's the rifle that he stole out of a guy's garage. Is a .22 rifle with a scope on it and a flashlight on the end of it. You can see it right there. He had it with him for sure. I'm sorry, what was said?
Bob is available.
Okay. Bob, at this point,
I'm watching the
where
chopper.
are we going with this armored vehicle?
Yeah, I'm watching the chopper and trying to pick up the roads here. They're definitely heading south 100. Now they're on 202. So this is Route 202 south. You know, they took 100 all the way down. They're making their way through Westchester, south on 202. I don't know what destination they will be looking for, but they're making good time.
Well,
I'm sure they have
some of our viewers say they hear the chopper and maybe going to Eagleville or Avondale Barracks.
No, that would be the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So Avondale would be out off of the turnpike. Eagleville would be the opposite way. This is definitely south 202.
Yeah,
they're going to be going past like Painter's Crossing down into eventually into Delaware.
That's interesting.
Down toward Wilmington. So that's 202 right there, south of Westchester.
Do you know where he was being transferred to? Was it a prison in Delaware? I can't remember. It's been 2 weeks since we learned that he was being transferred, and that's why he had to make his escape the day that he did.
He was being transferred that next day, I believe, into a more more tighter security prison.
Security. And apparently he needs that.
Yeah.
So where was he? Was he under the pile of logs? under the cords of
That
wood.
looks like a truck off to the right, doesn't it? Looks like an
Okay.
or like a wood chipper truck. That big white.
Okay. Now,
vehicle there.
I don't know, Bob. They may. We do have this confirmed. I believe that they are going to Avondale Barracks, but he kind of seemed like
Maybe
they're going the
taking
opposite
them
direction.
They're taking the long way if they are.
Yeah.
Well, either way, all the questions, all the details that we're trying to figure out will be confirmed in about 15 minutes. So I know folks want to get a lot of info, and a lot of folks are saying different things. But one thing is for sure, at 9:30 is when we're expecting to hear all of the confirmed details, where he's been, how they got him, and where he's going.
Which is, at this point, going to be refreshing to get it out of the horse's mouth instead of just all this talk.
Well, it's being spread at this point, you know, which is helpful to be on the air because word's getting out and people are sharing it at their
Doesn't make any
offices
sense,
when you're
'cause
waiting
where
for the
they went,
buses.
they're heading 202. Let's just keep following it.
All right, Bob, give us a moment. We have Scott Duffy joining us.
Yeah.
And who's been with us over a couple times over the past 14 days. Scott, I'm sure you've heard the news now. They found Danelo Cavalcante. They've captured him alive.
Hey, good morning. I tell you, I have goosebumps. I am like everybody else watching this. It's just bringing back just this flood of memories and an elation. I'm telling you, everybody is on cloud 9.
I know, I understand, but by getting to know you over the last couple of weeks, you've been involved in these searches. Remind everybody, does this take you back to 1999?
Mike, this takes me back, and as soon I tell you what, I got that one little text that said he's caught, and then of course as news breaks, it is traveling like wildfire, and then as soon as I saw on your station that he is caught and that the cameras are over him, I'm like, wow, that first of all he looked different.
Oh yeah.
And then watching, and as well, this is a great day where those that were actually on the ground, in the perimeter, outside the perimeter, and so forth, get to flood to that scene and get to see for themselves. This is who we've been chasing. And whether it be high fives, pictures, it is a well-deserved because they did a great thing to get him off the streets. No incident, other, probably a little bit of
roughed up a little bit,
going as expected. He is alive. Everyone else is uninjured, and that's what's important at the end of the day.
And it's so interesting that you mentioned that they want to see who they've been searching for the past 14 days. As you're watching with us, as we play the video of when they first captured him and where they're gathering around, talk about that a little bit. What's going through their minds? Because some folks are wondering, wow, they're taking pictures with them and they're all gathering around. Walk us through that, what their thought process is, because they've been on the hunt 24/7.
Is that a normal thing, take pictures?
It's you know what, this is so back in 1999 didn't have the chance to take pictures, but we did have the chance based on the command staff to say, hey, anybody that's within earshot, come on and take a look at the fruit of your work. He is in custody, and so very much like today, and of course now everybody having camera phones and so forth, they are allowing, because first of all, he is not escaping now. He is locked down. And so they are allowing everybody in that search to come in, get a glimpse, perhaps take a picture. Sure and foremost, it is for the community. May they take a picture and let everybody know this is who we have. This is the guy that's been putting everybody on terror. And he is now in custody. Rest assured, you can go back to your normal. And I tell you, for law enforcement, kudos, because they want a picture, because just imagine those especially who have been in the hunt for the last 14 days, day and night, that high anxiety and all of a sudden that adrenaline rush that now they can calm down and say, we're safe. It's just a great day, and it's a great moment, and sure enough, let them capture it on camera.
Well, it's a good outcome. And also, it's also the messaging that you can't get away with this. I mean, you take a picture to show convicted criminals, or criminals in general, you will not get away. We will come and get you. U.S. Marshals typically do that. Well, they'll show the pictures. They'll send out the video. They want to send the message, we will hunt you down, we will find you, and we will catch you, and you will not get away with this. So part of taking the pictures is a deterrent.
Absolutely. This is sealed in everybody's mind, and trust me, everybody who's in camera view inside a prison who might have been pondering one thing or another, hey, guess what? You might be able to escape capture 1 day, 2 days, 12 days, 14 days, but we're never going to stop coming for you, and we're going to get you. And so this is just another one of those moments to capture in history that it took us a while, but we never stopped.
Yeah. I mean, you've been on the show talking about searches that last years. We keep showing the footage of them cutting this Eagles jersey off of him and then cutting his, or whatever it is. Sweatshirt. And then cutting his pant legs off. What's that about?
Yeah. So of course, he's now a prisoner, and he's in handcuffs. So what they have to do, and who knows exactly how the actual takedown took place, but this goes to show law enforcement, hey, you put us in a position where our anxiety was high. We might have to shoot you. We might have, you might be shooting at us. That's a lot of anxiety. And now that we have you in custody, you're safe and sound, we still care about you. And so thereby, they're going to methodically remove all the clothing, first and foremost, to make sure that nothing is hidden.
Right.
This is not a pat-down search. This is going to be a full-on search to make sure there's no weapons whatsoever hidden anywhere on or around his body. And they're also removing the clothing methodically to make sure that there's no wounds that need to be dealt with immediately. So EMS is there, and a lot of those tactical units, they have their EMTs right there. And so they're just doing a head-to-toe, no different than if he was in an emergency room and a doctor's doing a one-over to say, hey, what hurts, what doesn't, and so forth. So they're doing due diligence, first and foremost for weapons, and then, of course, for any injuries that may need to be tended to immediately.
Well, whether he was in a shed or under all those logs, he's caught.
And another thing that people are commenting on, the fact how different he was able to look each time that we saw him. Some people, from the first photos that we show, where he had a lot of facial hair, and then how different he looked, clean-shaven with the cap, till now, where you still see he's a lot of hair dangling in his face. I guess it just shows how much you can change your appearance.
I don't think I would have recognized him on the street.
I tell you, when I first saw that, I was like, is that a wig?
Yeah, is it a
but
wig?
Of course, if that was a wig, that would have been ripped off his head.
Sure.
So I'm thinking, wow, that is his hair. So it goes to show from that Ring camera on a friend's house that he looked clean shaven with the baseball cap. I would not have imagined he had that much hair.
Yeah, looks like he tied it back. All right, Scott Duffy, can you just hang on for a second? We're hearing also that our Hank Flynn is in position. Yeah, he's right at Prizers, where the takedown happened, where he was taken into custody at that John Deere dealership. Hank, what are you seeing there, and what are we learning? If you early time right now.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, Karen. I'll tell you a very organic story. Tom and I were working our way here to Little's. We got stopped a couple of roads down. We got down Pottstown Road a little bit, and we're stopped, and then everything let go. We were allowed up here. As I pulled up here, a man with an M16 in camouflage asked me to come around back of the building and take a picture. So I did. I followed him around back, and I took a picture of the Border Patrol response team that took down Cavalcante. It was the Border Patrol, about 12 to 15 of them working in concert, big husky guys. I do have a picture of them, and I took pictures of them with their cameras. Now, I cannot post or distribute that picture for the simple reason that some of them are undercover operators. Some of them, they don't want their picture posted for a dozen different reasons. They were quite alarmed when they realized that I had used my own camera. I gave them my word that I wouldn't, but they were right behind the building right there. The takedown happened right behind the building. There were about 15 of them, all of them heavily armed with AR-15s, M16s. They were some of the toughest cops that I have seen, and they were exactly the ones that I figured would be the ones to take down Mr. Cavalcante. One of them had a big scrape on his face. I said, is that from today? He goes, no, that's from yesterday. I said, you all made contact with him yesterday? He goes, no, that was a brush. Apparently, they've just been pounding through jungle-thick brush back here in the woods looking for him over the course of the last 2 weeks. That's not stuff we would have seen, guys. We were out at the perimeter talking about what we know, but meanwhile, down in here, guys, from Border Patrol and every police agency that you can name are pounding through the woods down here. But I want to make clear, it was the U.S. Border Patrol, a strike team from them, that I took a picture of back here, and they confirmed to me that they were the ones who took down Cavalcante, and I'm amazed by them giving me the opportunity to stand with them, take a picture, and most of all, to congratulate them, Karen. Tom will tell you, my photographer, I've been a little bit geeky ever since they took him down. Every state trooper that goes by is getting the hard honk, the thumbs up. It's been a whole lot of work. Should he have escaped? No. Should it have taken 2 weeks to bring him in? No. But the point is, we got him, and he's going to SCI Phoenix, guys, and what that is a newer sub-prison built within the Graterford walls. Graterford's old as time, so what they've built is the new SCI thing, and there's probably a higher level of security, which when you think about it, Cavalcante's going to need all the security he can. The guy's already proven to be an escaper, and he's a convicted killer, so you want to have him in the highest level of security you possibly have, and he's on his way there right now, guys. Border Patrol did this. Give him credit and thank him.
Okay, Hank, amazing that you're right there on the grounds at Prizers. So we're going to put up some pictures. If there are kids in the room, I'd say take them out of the room, because some of these are pretty bloody.
And Bob Kelly was able to get these from some of his sources.
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah, this is the picture, obviously, after they cleaned his face off and taking him over into that armored vehicle in which they then cut off that Eagle sweatshirt. Now, let's, first of all, I want to go back here. Here's the live shot from Skyfox. What I think they're doing, just from watching the roads, is that they're heading south on Route 1 to the Avondale, Pennsylvania State Police Barracks, which, ironically, they have to pass Longwood Gardens, which was where they spent the first week or so in a hideout. And then maybe after he's processed at Avondale, maybe they'll be able to transfer him up to that CSI that Hank just mentioned, because they're definitely they went south on Route 1, south on 202 to Route 1, going through Chadds Ford, past Longwood. The Avondale Police Barracks is in Avondale. It's just south of Longwood Gardens, right at the corner of 141. There's a big Target and a Lowe's shop there, and it's amazing how those cars are pulling over. Let's go to that shot again that one of my sources sent to me right after his capture, and we saw him having his face wiped off, so obviously he's all bloody there. Where that came from or how long he's been that way, obviously we'll probably find that out in the press conference, but we saw the officers, the SWAT and the marshals, wiping his face off. And then let's go back to that other picture, if you could, that I sent over, where his face is clean. So obviously, they cleaned him up a little bit. There you go. Before they put him into the armored vehicle that we're following now, that I believe is heading to Avondale. And I only say that because I'm just watching the roads, just figuring out by process of elimination here where they're taking them, guys.
Well, I was kind of wondering, because you could see they had a roll of toilet paper out there, and they were wiping his face. I thought it might be sweat or something like that, but it turns out it was. You see that right there? You guys putting down the toilet paper. They were wiping the blood off his face. When you get a head wound, you bleed profusely, no matter how big the cut is on your scalp. So we're coming on back on camera here because we need to make some adjustments in the control room. It'll only take a couple of seconds, and then we'll get you back to the scene there.
Because in any moment now, we should be having this press conference, so we'll take you to Kennett
Square. We want to make sure we don't miss that, so we're adjusting some things in the control room. Kennett Square, the same fire station where we've been for 2 weeks. It's going to be so interesting to figure out exactly what happened in those final minutes. Was he hiding under all those cords of wood? Or was he actually in a shed? We'll find that information from the horse's mouth.
I bet both things could be true. You may be spending time in the shed, and then you move, you hear people, and you're trying to hide and, take cover where you can.
Hey, Scott, were you involved in the Eric Freen case or not?
No, I was not.
No.
That was a little outside my territory, so we were always on a standby. But at that point, we were not called further up. Usually, we would hover around the border of Maryland, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. So Eric Frean was just outside where we hadn't supplemented.
In that case, I think that went on for days and days and days, and he eventually just walked into a field and says, "Okay, I'm done. Take me into custody." And I think he is at CSI Phoenix, even as we speak. Well, the fog is still certainly in that part of Pennsylvania, and heading to Avondale, we think, for some kind of processing, and then eventually back to CSI Phoenix near Collegeville. So, can we punch up at least the news conference? Okay, go ahead and punch it up.
Here we go. Take a look at it.
That's a firehouse where all the updates have been given over the last 2 weeks. I'm sure those officials are ready to take a break, a long weekend as well.
Sleep for like 5 days.
Oh, yes.
After all of this and the pressure.
It's been nonstop. Was his name Bivens? Saying they like get 2 or 3 hours of sleep every night.
The heavily armored vehicle, Bearcat, that we've now figured out is going down to Avondale, which is, sort of by the Hers chip factory, in case you've ever taken the kids out there and taken a tour where they make out all the potato chips not too
I'm glad you guys can get home and get to school and get back to normal. I want to show you guys one more time a look.
Wooded, which is what they've been dealing with all along.
Taking him back to where it kind of began at the beginning, right? Longwood Gardens is where they were searching. That was one of the main places they searched.
And Longwood's supposed to open today. They're going to be back open. Boy. So that works out well that they had planned to do that. And finally, our school's back open. You had mentioned it earlier, but he was found with that gun that he had stolen off the property on him. You could clearly see it. It was in all the pictures.
Put it in the thingy, So that was the big fear. Once he got that gun, you could commandeer a vehicle and force somebody to drive you out of the area, or take you hostage inside your own house.
And as we look over these trees, it just, you just think about the wooded areas that all the different agencies and police had to walk through and comb through to look for Cavalcante, where he's been for the past 14 days.
Associated Press with a report now.
Yes, they're saying that thermal imaging helped direct police to the ground area where they found and ultimately arrested Cavalcante. And remember, in the beginning of this, it was so hot that they were saying they were having issues. Because they have been using thermal imaging from the beginning, but the problem is we were dealing with temperatures in the 90s, and the heat index was so high that it was